But Ian's going to spend some time talking about the dynamics of transformation and some of the new technologies and capabilities that are there, and what you perhaps should be thinking about as part of your procurement and how that world is changing based on his own experiences. Ian, welcome to the stage.
So I'll just start by sharing the nightmare I had last night, that I'd be on stage today following a professional presenter talking about presentation skills. So here I am. Okay, so I was gifted this presentation title a couple of weeks ago, and I believe it's up for an award for the longest ever presentation title in the history of corporate events. I prefer to summarize it as follows. I'm going to talk about digital transformation in the context of the IT industry. I'm going to talk about what does it mean to you as finance professionals and procurement professionals. And I'm going to talk about some of the new ways that organizations are approaching actually delivering transformation in this new world. But to do before that, I'd like to set the scene. If I can make my clicker work. Here we go. Whoops. Right. Who knows what the thing at the top is? Put your hand up. Right. That gives us an idea of the age profile of the conference. So, if you went to school 30 years ago, that's how you did multiplication. You used this thing called a slide rule. There weren't any calculators. There were computational adding machines, which are the thing on the left. And if you were very lucky, the first calculators came along. This is the Texas TI-30, which when it came out sold for about £16, about 30 years ago. And if you were lucky enough to be educated at that time, you'd perhaps go to university and you'd learn the art of computer programming. And up at the top left is a line of code that you would put together to create your initial program. And if you hit the technology wave, during your period at university, you'd actually experience things like the Sinclair Spectrum, which was the first home computer, and the first Apple Mac started to hit the stage. Then you would have experienced the modem, and you would have linked to the internet. You'd have got very excited about a new technology called mobile. You'd have your own brick, and you'd have been introduced to this new operating system called Microsoft Windows. And as all this evolved, new technology companies evolved. eBay was actually one of the first. They were providing online auctions, and they started playing around providing computing power. We saw Facebook, we saw Amazon starting to emerge, and the world started to change quite massively. Now, I'm starting to talk to companies about this thing on the left, which is a computer chip that emulates quantum computing. I'm talking to companies about blockchain, cloud, and the use of artificial intelligence to actually make decisions. The world is changing massively, and it's all available to each and every one of us on this really cool super device that gives you this portal into this incredible world. Now, I want you to just spend a moment thinking about what has all this technology done for you in the last 20, 30 years or so, and has society changed for the better as a result? And what's the future change going to mean? And while you're having that thought, I'm going to just play a short video, because a lot of people ask me what Fujitsu does. And they usually say, "Oh, Fujitsu, you do film, don't you?" Well, have a look at the video, and if I achieve one thing today, it will be to dissuade you of that thought.
Searching for oil without drilling. accessing mobile networks without electricity, increasing crop yields without planting another seed. Every day, Fujitsu is finding innovative ways to improve our lives. Working with all types of organizations, we're delivering our vision of a connected society with a sustainable future. Using our big data expertise to help scientists beat cancer. Exploiting biometrics to help banks reduce fraud to almost zero. Deploying advanced simulation techniques to reduce energy consumption. And using augmented reality software to transform the workplace. At Fujitsu, we innovate by working with our customers in many different ways to deliver a truly connected society. Shaping tomorrow with you.
So, I think we're not a film company, okay? We're a technology company that works with business, with government to make the world a better place. Okay, so have you been thinking about, is the world a better place for all this technology? In this Brexit-ready United Kingdom, this fractious country which is agitated to a level that I cannot remember. And in fact, is the world you're thinking about one that is more organised? Is it a world where there's more trust? Or are you thinking about a world where there are fears of cybersecurity? Is it a world where the technologies I've talked about are disintermediating organisations in a way that we've seen? Is it a world where the chief executives of organisations are frightened about what the competition will do? And is it a world of massive political uncertainty that's going to drive great change? I think you'd agree that that's probably the world we're living in right now. And that's the world we've all got to operate and make business decisions. Now, just to prove that, here we go. We've just published a report where we've researched 600 decision makers in the business world and asked them what their attitude to technology and what technology is doing to them. Now, what's really interesting is most of them say that they think technology will provide the answer to the challenges we've talked about. But we've got some serious problems in society and government. Nearly 60% of business leaders say that customer attitude to IT is holding them back. And something like 54% of citizens think that IT is unregulated. And the way that organisations are using IT needs to be controlled. And as a result of that, the majority of organisations leads don't think that IT is being used to best effect, with 44% saying that they're going to miss out on the benefits that IT can actually deliver. Now, as purchasing and finance professionals, you're going to have to help address that. And I'm going to go into some of the ways that you might consider doing it. Because we think the time has come for radical change. It's not going to be enough anymore to use the old-fashioned linear planning approaches to actually driving business forward. Organisations and teams are going to have to come together and work in completely different ways to evolve and change. The challenge that businesses have is not going to be just about technology. It's going to be a change about the whole culture of an organisation, of which technology plays a part. And look out for big change, guys. It's coming. Right, so we've because I'm talking to a procurement and finance audience, I thought I'd deal with some procurement and financial facts to actually back this up. And we've teamed up with an organisation called Technology to actually share with you some insights into the way the market's working. And, procurement of IT used to be very easy. When the early technologies came along, you just wanted to make sure that you had a piece of technology that would do what it's supposed to do. Now, as time went on, you were looking for cost savings. That's when Generation 1 outsourcing came along. Then the IT industry got very smart, and we started talking about value as the way of contracting and procuring. And right now, we're at a new phase of procurement in IT, and that's about flexibility. That's about helping an organisation actually go through the journey of change. It leverages the new technologies of cloud, of software as a service, and is causing massive change. And that's down to a number of factors. Driven by Cabinet Office and government, we're seeing a lot of the traditional very large IT contracts being broken down into small parts. Those of you who are involved with digital transformation projects will know that these projects tend to be quite small, tend to be driven by a transformation lead, and have not delivered. It's great disillusionment in terms of what's happened in the past because of the way these projects have been run. We've talked about cloud delivery. Software as a service, infrastructure as a service is becoming the new way of buying IT. And finally, we're seeing this move to in-house decision-making and an unwillingness to take one-size-fits-all and apply it to every company. Companies want to evolve their culture and their IT as they evolve, and that's a completely different way of thinking and moving forward. So, what does that mean to you? Well, some more stats. Average deal size is decreasing around IT project. It's not just the deal size, but it's actually the quantity of large outsourcing contracts. So what we're seeing is the whole buying and purchasing community moving to projects, in-year projects, short-term projects, looking for ongoing and immediate gains in the way that companies operate. Okay, so let me share some stats about this change. So right now, something like 28% of infrastructure IT is now purchased as cloud. That's going to go up to about 45% by 2023. If you look at the share of the applications market, it's moving from 35% to about 52% by 2023. That combined with a project mentality signifies great change in the way you're going to operate. Moving on. The people you're going to be working with are changing. So in the past, you'll remember that everything used to be controlled by the CIO. And the CIO ruled supreme over the IT function. Not so now. We're seeing an increasing interest from the board. Something like 55% of automation projects now are instigated by the CEO. And organisations are moving from what used to be a chief digital officer to appointing transformation officers. And I've been talking to quite a few of these guys recently, and what they're saying to me is, I cannot run projects anymore on my own. If I want to run a change project in the organisation, I have to involve the whole organisation, and the whole organisation needs to align behind the new ways of working. And technology, although it's a key element of the solution, is a part. The key thing the organisation has to do is work out how it changes its culture, how it moves to a new agile way of being. And agility in this new world becomes the absolute key, agility. Okay, so how do you create an agile organisation? How do you start to plan in this new world? How are things going to be different as we go forward? Well, we've been working on this for some time, and the approach that we have developed is one called co-creation. And our approach to co-creation is based on design thinking. And design thinking is an approach that was developed in California in the 90s to help tackle and address business problems. The basic thing behind the idea is that you capture the requirements of a multifunctional team pictorially. You visualize the requirements. You don't start by writing down a business case and report. You draw up the possible. And you draw up the prototype in picture form and what can be done. And you use that as the basis of an initial piece of work, which you fire up and you develop and you move forward very, very quickly. So my challenge to you is to start thinking about how will you fire up and create and run these agile projects as you go forward. So we've done thousands of these now. We've even worked it up so we've automated and created electronic post-it notes. We've created a whole centre in London where we bring teams together to work on a problem, and at the end of the day, out pops an electronic solution to the business problem. And rather than try and explain it, I just want to play a short video to kind of stimulate your thought processes about how things can be done differently.
Why?
So, seen that? Right, so a few concluding thoughts in the couple of minutes I've got left. So, I think I've dissuaded you that we're a film company. I think I've demonstrated that the world is changing and very rapidly. Now, the things I talked about took place over 30 years. In the next 10 years, you will see as much, if not more, change. As much, if not more, change. And you're going to have to create organizations that are flexible and agile if you're going to survive that change. You're going to have to get behind transformation. You're going to have to get your mind around the way in which an organization's got to work. And you're going to have to try and start running with new ideas. Have some fun, change the culture, do things differently. It's a big challenge for everyone here, and I challenge you to keep thinking about that as you go through the day. Thank you very much indeed for your interest and participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. That's brilliant.